Hello, everyone. This topic in the church, and this deals with the church managing the young talents in the church, managing the youth. And the topic that we'll be discussing is professionalism and service to God. We have here, we're very privileged to have on the show today a very resourceful person that I've known and that have been a motivation to me. And he's a musician. We have him on the show. His name is Babatunde Moses. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
We're very honored to have you here. Skipping so many things you have in your show to have. Thank you for honoring our viewers and our listeners.
Yeah,
so before we move on, we would like you to tell us more about yourself, and then for them to know you better.
Oh, okay, great. So my name is Tunde Moses. I'm a musicologist. I'm also a conductor and a music consultant too as well. So yeah, in my service to God, I play drums. So I play drums. So in between everything music, I do everything music.
Yeah, you can see that he's so versatile, and the first time when you were talking about yourself, say a conductor, first thing that came to my mind, like, do you mean Oshodi to Agege? But he now ensured that he was able to clarify that he's a music conductor, he's a music director, choir director. He's very loaded. He's an instrumentalist, he's a musician and musicologist, and he's called music, by the grace of God, he has a choir group of his own that he
Orchard Community Choir.
Am I correct?
Yes.
So you can tell, and I can tell you about the group. It's an interdenominational group, and they are doing fine. So we have the right person on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's quickly go straight to the discussion that we are having, talking about professionalism and service to God as a musician. There's something that is common. There's even one viral video talking about musicians being paid.
Yeah.
Bible says something, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with everything you have.
Yeah.
And while growing up, we were taught that we have to serve the Lord with everything we have, including our skills. And we have different groups in church that are committed to serving God. We have the choir, we have the ushering department, media, and every other department. Now, talking about being musicians, especially instrumentalists, for what they do, I want to know your view on it. Do you think it's just basically on professionalism, or we should consider the aspect of service? So, helping us with that, I wanted to help us to balance the aspect of professionalism and service to God.
Okay, that's a very good question. So, professionalism and then service to God, we can't take one out of the other. So they are interwoven. They're interwoven. So we in a church setting now. We have ministry musicians, and then we have career musicians. We have ministry musicians, and then we have career musicians in the church. So we have, music on its own can be a career.
Yeah, sure.
And then, of course, it can also be a ministry too.
Yeah.
So it's just that there's no balance between the career musicians and then the ministry musicians.
Can you help us to expatiate more on that? What do you mean by career musicians
and ministry musicians? Okay, so there are some people that their assignment is on the altar. Do you understand? And then there are some people, when we talk about career musicians can be a teacher, they can be a film scorer, they can be a conductor. Music is versatile. You can work anywhere in the entertainment industry, in the arts industry. So there are some people that they are ordained to be on the altar, and then there are some people that they have to educate, they have to teach the musicians.
Like, if I get you correctly now, career musician means that you attend, maybe you went to university,
Exactly.
music, and then you can be into music production.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
And that is what you do for your day-to-day.
Yes.
Your life depends on it.
Well.
Then for ministry musician, maybe you are just gifted.
Yes.
Or you could also go to study.
Exactly.
Okay, excuse me. Your ministry is that, okay, in music, but you want to use it to serve God solely.
Yeah.
But you have other businesses.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for that. You can continue.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we need to define who a musician is. A musician is someone who performs, who score music and all that. Do you get? So people, let me use the story of David in the Bible. There's something I like about David, and then David understood his talent, his purpose, and his passion. His talent, his purpose, and his passion. Now, his talent is playing the harp.
Okay.
Now, his purpose is to be in the palace. And then his passion is the rearing of animal. Do you understand?
Okay.
So, your talent can also push you to your place of purpose. At that point, they said they needed somebody who could play that harp. A skillful musician who could play that harp at that point. So they called David. So his talent, there was a transit between his talent and his purpose.
Just like the Bible said that the gift of a man
maketh way for him. Exactly. So there are some people that this is what they do with their life, just music. They can't do any other thing. It's not that they've not tried other things. They've tried other things, but it's not still working. But this music, they can spend their lives on it.
And
Do you understand? Exactly. It's just that this part of the world where we are now, they don't. I'm sorry to say, they don't value intellectual property, because a musician is also equivalent to a medical student. But the society they've seen a musician as somebody they're just playing around. Even it happens in the church, they are not serious with their life. Do you get? So because of probably past experience with different musicians and then different people. Do you understand? So your service to God has to be professional too. You have to give your best.
Yes.
So you cannot just, because I don't serve a shabby God, so you can't come and then just want to do anything anyhow.
Music is even powerful in
exactly
service.
It is exactly.
And when we talk of quality worship, music takes a higher percentage.
Exactly. So it's just funny how people come to church because of different reasons. People come to church and they can only remember the praise and worship.
Sure.
They can only remember the choir administration. So people come to church with different reasons, but I like with the stakeholders, they just take the ministry anyhow, and no, it should be just to sing, and then just anybody can sing. Exactly. So they just feel anybody can sing. So I would come to that point of over time people say I'm not performing, I'm ministering. So but doing research, performance and administration, they go hand in hand. They are still interwoven, because you can't drop performance and say you are ministering. They have to go together, because if you are just ministering, it's just like you are leading people into worship. Do you understand? But there are a lot of things around your ministration, which is the performance, your key selection, your dress code, because you cannot just wake up in the morning and just wear short knicker and in Nigeria, you cannot just come on stage and wear short knicker. People will not take you seriously. So your backup they need to look good. Your drummers, they have to be okay. Exactly. So the top people, musicians, ministry musicians, they cannot just pick anybody and just say, okay, because you can drum, let's just use you like that. So it does not work like that. But there's a place for professionalism, and then there's a place for service unto God.
Even if you work with professionals, your ministry will even be augmented.
Exactly.
In a higher realm,
exactly.
Because you won't have struggle. You won't struggle while you're ministering.
Exactly. That's another point. In the secular world, if for instance now the HR now, they cannot just employ anybody to work for them. But when it comes to the things of God, we just he's God now. Let's just do it like that. But in the secular world, in the secular organizations, they don't just pick anybody to, okay, you can do it. You can let's try. No, they don't do it. If you're not doing your job well, even the HR will give you a letter and sack you.
And we consider something in the religious aspect of it, talking about privilege and availability.
Yes.
You could be so privileged, so skillful, and not available. And at that moment, your service is needed. We can't stop the service because you're not available. Then the available person will be in the position to take that. That's why. And I think that also helped to develop some talents, because when someone that is available is now put in place to stand in, they feel challenged, and from there they get trained.
Yes.
And gradually they become professional. Because I can remember while I was still very younger than this, in our teenage days, I have free access to church. To church instruments.
Yeah.
You just go there to learn without anybody worrying you. Truly, we have some choir leaders that you dare not go.
Yes.
I even have one story. Today is even still annoying me. That time, our guitar is still very scarce. And it's very costly and very
not common.
So someone came to do an Thanksgiving and then gave it to the church. Nobody knows how to play. I think in Ife that time, maybe that will be the second they will have in the whole of the set.
Wow.
Nobody to play it. They will not allow us to
touch it.
Yes. Or anything.
Yeah.
Last, that thing was stolen.
Of course.
So the place of availability also helps to motivate some people to bring growth. Now let's come back to our discussion. We're still talking about professionalism and service to God, and we are now talking about career musicians
and ministry
musicians. Now, either you're a career musician or a ministry musician, there's one thing that is common to all, that's service to God.
Yes.
In service to God, there is no sentiment.
Yes.
And everybody has a price to pay.
Yeah, of course.
Serving God. So, even if you're a career musician, is it not worthwhile you have a place where you use your skill to serve God without being paid for it?
Yeah.
How does it really appear or look in the career aspect of it?
Yes, that's a very good question too. And the thing is, service unto God is actually a personal. I'm looking for a word.
It's relative. So
yes.
Personal to individual.
Exactly. So it has to be a personal conviction that I want to serve God. And then don't be surprised that there are people in the career world that they can't play the instruments, they can't sing, but they teach, they lecture, but they can't sing, they can't. Did you get? So you mentioned something about availability too. Experience over time. I would say experience over time. That is why people want to make a living out of serving God. Experience over time, in the sense that people have been trying to develop themselves and all that, but when you are not being appreciated, and then they just feel you can just say, who is this person? Is that let him just come? If you cannot come, just get out. And then you'll be surprised that there are other places where they're just looking for that person.
Sure.
And then when they get that person, they will value the person. And then you'll be surprised that even in my own church, they are not giving me this same value for what I'm doing. Do you get? So some people can make a living out of their rendering their service to God, and then music is not a guesswork that this keyboard. Let me just play on the keyboard. Or this is guitar. Let me just pick up the violin and start playing. So you can't do a guesswork. If you don't know it, you don't know it. If you don't know it, you don't know it. And then is actually a major aspect in the church whereby if somebody is singing off key, somebody that cannot even sing in the church, we know that this person can't sing. So now there are some people who have taken out their time to stop everything that they are doing to develop their self on this thing. Do you get? So now I tell people about there's this circle. Now people move from talent to business. People move from just the instrument, the love for instrument. They move up from that level to building a career. And then some people even go from just the love for music, and then they go into the business street.
Sure.
Don't be surprised that people selling the instrument, sometimes they can't play the instrument.
Sure.
And they're in the career world too. So people move from the talent and then move into building up a career into the music. You get? So, and then there are some other places whereby you see a lot of volunteers rendering their service to God and not being paid.
Sure.
So there are still circles like that, but most of the time, go and check. It is the career musicians that do more of the job in the church. Nathan Obasi studied jazz music, but people don't see that part. They just see the ministry part. Go and listen to all the albums. They are very musical and they are very spiritual. Do you get? Listen to Dusu Eko. Dusu Eko is a fantastic bassist.
Yeah.
So those people, they've been through the process of music and then pushing them into, like I said, David, from talent to the purpose. So you cannot just is a sensitive unit. You cannot just wake up and then but people transit from the talent to the purpose. Nathan Obasi cannot just play anything on the trumpet anyhow. If he has not learned how to play the trumpet. So professionalism and the service to God goes hand in hand.
I think like the examples you gave now is a kind of redirection, because at the beginning they were in the career path.
Exactly, they were in the career. Exactly,
he has played with different jazz band and all that.
Exactly.
But along the line, he met his purpose. And he had to drop the career.
Exactly.
And now face the ministry.
Yeah.
And even though he's facing the ministry now, like now, if we say ministry and we know it's solely service to God.
Yes.
But for that service to be sustained,
they
still need some people to bear
the cost
and the burden. In the place of, okay, we want you to minister in our church.
You
can't just say, okay, come and minister.
Wow.
And the next thing you will do is God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you very much. God bless you. And he has some people that came with him, transportation and all those things.
And he has his family.
So which means he needs to be appreciated. Now, I think we should now come to the area of appreciating musicians.
Okay.
I have some things in my mind. For instance, now we have musicians and we need to appreciate them because they are in service. But apart from musicians, we have some other aspects. Like, okay, even musicians are not playing alone. They have choir that they work with. They have choir that are in the church, they stand by. And, voice is part of instrument.
Yes.
For you to be a good singer, you have to train, learn different rehearsals. And we will see that the musicians, the keyboardists, the percussionists and all that, they will be paid for their work on Sunday. But the choirs, the choristers will not
be paid.
I find is it not partiality? Or what is it?
Okay. There's something about choir. I believe if you can sing, at least you can sing in a choir. if you can sing, you can also sing in a choir, and then the voice is also important. What you just said now is actually happening everywhere. Even if they want to like share the money within themselves, they pay the musicians more than the singers less. So I think yeah, there needs to be a balance in that aspect. But the thing is that everybody don't do it that way. Some people do it that way. So one time I was going through this kind of question, and then I came across one principle like that. They call it 80-20 principle. So now, if you notice, in Nigeria now, 80% of everybody doing music now wants to get paid. 80% of people doing music now want to get paid, and then 20% is just doing it for service. Now, if you abroad now, 80% of people just do music for fun.
Yeah.
And then 20% of them just do it as a career. So you would see in different houses abroad, you just see piano. People can just they can just play piano and all that. But in Nigeria now, if you just know maybe probably chord 145, the next thing is they're looking for a church that will be paying you for a chord 145. That you still need to. There's still a lot to learn from the piano. So I feel for the choir, yeah, people can grow from the choir, because if you want to join the choir now, if you are looking for paid people to join the choir, I'm not sure you would have so many choir members.
You don't know how many people, because the budget
exactly
finance that.
Exactly. So but at the same time, we cannot get away with singers too, because they are important too.
Definitely,
they are important. So if the musicians are not good, that's the instrumentalists. If they are not good, and then the choir is good, there will be no balance. But most times, it is the musicians that they need to be very, very strong. And if the choir are not strong, they can still find a balance with it. So I think, yeah, it's actually
a cappella.
For some,
the choir is very good. The choir is very good, and the instrumentalists are not good. We can improvise that.
Of course.
We'll have a balanced worship, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, of course. In those days, there's no musical instrument. They clap and all that. But in this time now, you can't bore people in church. If you are doing the same style every time. So you can't bore people. Yes, you can't bore. But there are some churches that they don't use drums. But
that I still see either synthetic or physical. They still use drums.
They still use drums, of course.
I've attended
loop
their services, and I see they use keyboards and it's still drum.
They still drum, of course.
Because it's still programmed somewhere.
Exactly.
Though it's now automated, it's not being controlled. You can still control. Okay, this is what we don't want. We just want this. I think they have a reason.
Of course,
and which is okay
for them, yeah.
But you still do, because reading is even the basis of music.
Yeah.
If there is no reading, you can't really have music. Talk less of having good music.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Viewers at home, I believe you are being blessed with the discussion today. If you have any your view about the topic that we're discussing, please let's know in the comment section. Drop your comments, and then we'll talk more about that. Now, talking about appreciating musicians, I've met different young guys, even teenagers and all that. Even some of them will forfeit school because they believe they will have career
in music.
And their aim and purpose is basically they want to do this to get paid. And we've seen some of them that they got the privilege of learning this even in church.
Yes.
And after they've gotten to an appreciable level, they be like, I'm not being appreciated in this church. I want to go to another place where I'll be appreciated.
Yeah.
So some views see this as an attitude of not being grateful
for the
that is
privilege.
given.
Yes.
And some see it as a kind of a rude act, or these people, they don't know God because they are not serving God. What's your view on that?
Well, well, for me, I grew up in a Baptist church where we they just train us from there. So, but okay, so when I was praying, like, okay, what? Because at that point, there was no purpose, but they were just training us.
They want to get you occupied.
Exactly. At that point, they were just training us. So personally, there was no purpose that, okay, this is what I want to do with my life. But we could play the instrument at that point. So, I was just praying, okay, what do I want to do? With my life? I cannot be in this place I can't be in this place forever. So what's this? So, if you there's something common about music. The little it's just like God. Let me use God. The more you think you know God is the more you don't know him. So let me bring it to music. The more you think you know music is the more you don't know it. Because where your knowledge stops, that's where exactly. So I was just okay, God, what do I want to do? Listen, so I came across my mentor and I was watching him closely that this person, okay, I saw his story and okay, he left this scene and all that. So yes, I think let me use the word stakeholders, or let me use pastors. They need to create environments whereby they encourage young people. Because I'll tell you that it is not easy. Because a lot is happening to musicians out there. A lot is happening to even church musicians. When I'm playing something and then there's no regard for it, and then most times when the elder see you that okay, this guy, I know he was growing I can remember when this guy was young, and then over familiarity enters it, and then they just take you for granted, and then when you want to try to explain something to them, they see it as you are rude, you are this one, you are not grateful at all and all that. So they need to create an environment whereby it is enabling for growth. If you're in the midst of older people and then you want to pitch in ideas and okay, let's do this way, let's do this song this way, they might just give you the history of your life at that point, and then it's not encouraging, and then that same person would go somewhere else and they just tell them, okay, this and this and this, and wow, where have you been? This one. This is the person we are looking for. Do you get? And then you want to look at it. Okay, where I'm coming from, where I am going to now. It happened to Jesus too. There was a city where they didn't appreciate him. He had to leave.
Even in his own city.
Yes,
he could not do much.
Exactly. So people are looking for purpose. They are looking for discovery and all that. I'm a testimony that when I left, I could discover other things that I could do with music. Just even at that place, some of them heard that I studied music, and then they were, he doesn't have a future. He doesn't have what he wants to do with his life. So if I'm there, I can't have a sense of life, because all they just want me to do is just to appear in church, and then after service, or probably if they don't see you in church, I didn't see you in church. Where did you go? But there's more to life than you seeing me, just asking me that I didn't see you in church. I have a lot of things to do too. I have personal life, but I have my own personal life to live. Just and then as a young boy too, no matter how many years you spend with your parents, there will be a day that you will leave the parents. So, but it's just that there are so many misconceptions about people leaving the church and then musicians and all that and all that and all that. So of course people will leave. People will leave.
Thank you very much for that. There's our time is fast spent, but there's one
Okay.
last question that I want to ask. We know some of the secular musicians
Yeah.
that even when they tell their story, they told us they came from
From church, yes.
Even
Yes.
some of them are sons of ministers.
Ministers, yeah, of
in
course.
the
Of
church.
course.
But they started with a passion that, okay, I want to
Serve God.
They started singing gospel, singing praises to God, leading people in worship.
Yeah, yeah.
But perhaps because their needs are now being
Met, yeah.
they were like, okay, I want more than this.
No.
Then they went out to meet some
Mm.
people that turned the music to money for them.
Yeah.
And seeing it in one way, it could be a kind of subtraction or loss
Yeah.
in the
Church, yes.
because if they are still there, they could have been better.
Better, yeah.
Right. So, what do you think a church can do better
Okay.
to help young talents
Mm.
to remain in the service of God and also work to fulfill their purpose?
In the church. Okay, yeah.
Even their purpose,
Personal,
their
okay,
personal ambition.
Yeah. Okay, now I've been there, and then God has been helping me. Now the thing is, people see you and they will tell you be consistent, put in hard work and all that. But I got to realize that the word consistency is the hardest thing, because when you are being consistent in something and then you're not seeing reward, you are not seeing something. I was reading one book last week, and then in that book something struck me in that book, and then he said, your holiness can turn to frustration if there's no prosperity.
Sure.
Your holiness can turn to frustration if there's no prosperity.
You live your life in temptation.
Exactly. So most of those guys, some people don't have patience that, okay, this thing, if I'm doing this thing, I would, one day I would. But that one day, some people can't predict the one day. You get? Some people can't predict the one day. So they feel like, okay, I think God is slow. And then they will go outside, and then devil is funny. Devil can reward you immediately. Mm-hmm. But when devil comes back for that thing he has given you, you will not you not remain the same again.
Able to pay.
Exactly, you'll not be able to pay. Devil can borrow you money now. It's just like God promising you that, okay, I'll give you my son, I will give you 2 million naira next week. The devil can tell you today that, okay, I'll give you 200,000 naira. And then the funniest thing about the devil is that the devil can come and bring 5 naira note, 200,000. It will be much. So when he brings that money, you'll be like, this money is much. But at the same time, you are killing yourself. Sure. From it. Do you understand? So the thing is, I understand that consistency is the hardest thing to do. When you are, there's so many gospel musicians that they've done albums, they've done tracks, and then nobody's hearing them. And it's not that they're not praying, but nobody's hearing them. And then at that time, they might just be frustrated. What am I doing? I've been doing this same thing. And then, I'm not getting any reward from this thing. But if I move to the secular part, if I do this and do this and do this,
just open your
exactly,
mouth,
just open your mouth.
People dance.
Exactly, people will dance to it and all that. And then, they will celebrate more secular musicians than the gospel musicians. But I won't tell you that someone like me is coming to break that chain.
Yeah, sure. There is another, that one is another aspect on its own.
Yeah.
Definitely, because like gospel musician now, you center everything on God.
God, yes.
Secular
yes.
musician, they center on anything.
Yeah.
So, like, even there's one popular song that is written from beginning to the end, doesn't have meaning, and it promotes different kind of atrocity. And people accepted it, and
exactly.
The guy became a millionaire.
Exactly.
Even if he's not educated or anything.
Exactly.
As long as you give people what they want.
Within that short time.
Atrocity is what fooled the whole society. But now, gospel musicians, gospel musicians,
Yeah.
and now we're mostly focusing on the instrumentalists and all that. If the church
Yeah.
is not, or what is the measure of appreciation that you think will be enough?
Well, there's no appreciation that is enough.
They are getting it somewhere. And it seems enough to them.
Yes.
Like, in my church now, we have instrumentalists that we invite every Sunday and we pay them a token. To them, it may not be enough. They may have a reason why they are still staying. Maybe someone is influencing them. But if they go elsewhere, they may see someone that will say, I will double this for you. And it's still a church.
Yeah.
And they will feel very satisfied and very okay. And we've seen this thing tempting so many
people. Yeah, true.
Going at, even some of them have different churches they go to play for. And one funny thing is that there is still one common view of instruments that they just came to play. When it's time to pray, when it's time for message, when it's time for any other thing apart from playing instrument, they will not be found.
But yeah, true.
So to wrap up the episode today, I want you to balance something.
Okay.
Your message for the stakeholders.
Okay.
To properly manage the musicians in the church, or to encourage them to give their best in service to God.
Okay.
Then your message to the musicians, to maintain their focus in service to God. No matter how much their want is, you exhaust it.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
But your service to God can pave way for you.
Yeah.
Where money cannot.
Yeah, true.
So I wanted to give your your final advice on the episode before we bring the show to an end.
Okay. Yeah. So I've actually come to realize that a blessed 1,000 naira is better than a cost 10,000 naira. And then there's something funny about money. You see, money will promise you security, but it will not give you that security. That's why people are looking for more money. Because they feel, okay, if I have this amount of money this time, I'll be okay. But when they get that money and they start spending the money, this money is not okay, let me look for another money. So now, I think there should be an agreement between the musicians, and I tell people, nobody can pay you fully. Nobody can pay you fully. Because when they pay you this amount of money now, when you get out, start, exchanging the money for something, you would realize that, this money, there's really nothing, there's nothing in this money. So now, musicians need to get better than just looking for a church to pay them. They have their personal life. Because I can't imagine myself being in a church and they are praying, and then I'm outside gisting. I can't imagine my own life like that, because I have a glorious future. Do you understand? And then, like the Bible says, the weapon of our warfare, they are not carnal. So there's always a fight. So why are you just centered about your love for playing the instrument, and then you're not even considering the fact that you are blessing people in the church? You are blessing people in the church.
Maybe that's because they didn't see themselves as a ministry.
Exactly. So most of musicians, they have this mentality of, let me just go and play and then collect money and then go and check their lives. They can tell from, they can tell from, okay, I'm just getting money from this church. Do you know, the money you are getting is actually somebody's seed, somebody's prayer in the church. That, oh God, bless me with this seed I want to drop. And then you are just, your own thing is just the love for the money. And then you are not, some of them don't even give quality in the sense that, some of them even come late to church. And then they will just be chasing after you. And then you'll be feeling like, God, if I'm not there, nobody can do this thing. So, musicians need to, don't let me just say musicians alone, let me say Christian creatives. They need to, work on their attitude, work on their personal life. They need to spend time on, being valuable, whereby people just want to have you around, not And then we need to stop that circle of how people see musicians, whereby those people, they are just playing around, they are serious people. So, we need to be serious with our lives too. And then for the church to, the church needs to appreciate and then check up on their musicians too. Because it's not just about, I didn't see you in church. There are lots going on around here now. There are lots going on. It's just, it's not even worse that you can see it anywhere, anyway. Even on the street, you can see it. People can just fall anywhere. So, the pastors needs to do more checking up on people. People are spending time. People are spending resources to be better, to be a better musician. People are spending data. They are spending data to, just to watch something. Oh, I've learned this thing. We can do this thing. Do you understand? So, they need to appreciate and then not see musicians as beggars. Because most people see them as beggars that only they can't. It's even worse whereby in relationship whereby you want to get married to somebody and then the parents are like, what do? You say I'm a musician. You are not serious with your life. Do you get? So they need to see musicians as, okay, these people are important. They are very, very important. I'll tell you for free that it is not all musicians that want to get money from music, but if they are valuable, they will come over and over and over and over again. So pastors need to create an environment whereby musicians can even live, they can even have a better life than just coming to come and play. At times you just call them, what do you have to do with your life?
You have that interaction.
Exactly, interaction with them. It's not that you are just playing them.
Like,
exactly.
Okay, you see me more
than just playing this thing.
That relationship, that interaction.
Exactly.
And it will even help their life, help their integration with worship.
Worship, exactly.
I've seen in a service that a musician, the minister is ministry. The musician just plays something on the keyboard, and the minister will receive something.
Exactly.
And there will be a connection.
Yeah, of course.
The connectivity will be so okay.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Viewers and listeners at home, I believe you've learned something today. And what we're saying is that we need to strike the balance, especially the ministers, the churches. We need to do more.
Yeah.
They are really trying.
Yes.
We have some churches that have
they are trying,
so many
of course, yes.
So we need to do more, especially Orthodox churches and all that. Even they provide that environment where you can learn, but that we can build more on that, and make sure that we integrate our musician into the ministry, and appreciating them with something worthy is not a sin. And this will help them to sustain their ministry, because majority of them have different kind of expenses at home. And the only thing they do is music. So, and when they use it to serve the Lord, we bless them with it. David says something, I will not give my God what does not cost me anything. For them, serving the church cannot just be taking it every time. Appreciating them is still a very good thing. And then it should be properly managed. And for musicians that are coming up and the upcoming ones, we should have one thing in mind. Bible says something, seek ye first the kingdom of God.
And every other thing,
whatever skill you have, whatever, even though it costs you something. Bible says nobody receive anything except it's given from heaven. So it's God that gives. Let us also have the heart to serve the Lord with that gift, as He will bless that skill, because it's the blessing of the Lord that makes one prosper without adding sorrow to it. Asher was a musician. He composed different kind of psalm with David, and these people were not poor people. They were not beggars. The Levites and the ministry, they eat from the altar.
True.
They are not beggars, and they have that comfortability to serve the Lord, which the church should provide for musicians, and not just musicians, different units we have in church, and different talents that are coming up in church. We can do more, follow up with them, integrate them, and create this kind of comfortable environment for them to serve God and to develop, to fulfill the purpose of their existence. And with this, I believe that we have a better world and we have a better church, a better community. Thank you very much for coming to the show. We really appreciate your presence. So, our viewers and listeners, if you have any other view on this, please let us know your view in the comments. And in our next episode, we can still bring this up if there's anything you want us to talk more on that. Thank you for joining us on this episode, and next week will be another episode where we'll be talking on another topic. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please don't forget to do that. It won't cost you anything. Subscribe on our channel and follow our social media platform. On Facebook is CAC Sheraton, on YouTube is CAC Sheraton, on Instagram is CAC_Sheraton, the same thing on Twitter, and on mixlr.com/CAC Sheraton Radio. Don't forget to join us, and we pray as you do so, God continue to bless you.
Amen.
And finally, to wrap up the show, if there's anything you want to tell us about your community and the project, we want to give you the privilege for announcement.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm also the founder of Orchard Community Choir. The Orchard Community Choir is an interdenominational choir where we want to promote excellence in music, and then want to reach out to people through our music, because there are so many noise, let me call them noise, around. So we can't just be talking, we have to take action to it too. So you can follow us on our Instagram too, Orchard_choir, and then on our YouTube channel, Orchard Community Choir, and then on Facebook also Orchard Community Choir. So we're actually working on our concert in August 6th. Afro classical concert where we'll be celebrating Nigerian composers. So August 6th, and then I think if you follow us on our social media platform, you can get more information, and then you can also be part. You can also join the choir too. If you join our social media platforms, you can reach out to join the choir. You can also support the choir too.
All right. If you follow on social media, you get more information. And I think they work with Church Choir. If you have a project, you can work with them. So thank you very much once again for coming on the show. And I remain your host, Olua from Something. At this point, we'll be bringing the show to an end. Don't forget to join us next week. We pray you have a blissful weekend. God bless you.
Amen.
Shalom.